Hi everybody! This year, 2021, my first video of the year, we're going to go over my first ever under $400 budget car, which is the XQ10. As you guys see, I'm now driving for the Express, and I've been doing it for roughly a couple months now, I would say 4 or 5 months. And yes, there is a lot of things went through the development of the car, test drive it from day one till now. So in this video, we're going to go over what I did and what Express did for the past few months. Okay, so here's my two car. One on the right or the left is going to be my Asphalt Car. Okay, and then my right is going to be my carpet car. As you can see that both of them are carbon. Why is that? It's because of the things that we're going to go over. So the first car I driven is actually this one. This is the Asphalt Car. I have done quite a lot of things to it, and with the co-development of Express, we have changed quite a little bit of stuff. So as you see on the first video, my car right off the bat is pretty good. Very good lap time, good steering, with Celeste tire, which is a lot of grip. But as the tires start to fade off, I feel that the rear end start to become looser. It does not have the traction like my Serpent car does. So right off the bat, I start experimenting with all different things. For example, like the suspension block, different pills, you know, everything I've tried. And then also I have tried experimenting different springs, different shock position, all those normal stuff. I even measure the camber link height with the hub height of all the car out there in existence, like X-Ray, like Yokomo. I have measured all of them. So we have test and test and test, and we never really found a solution. So then the first thing that right off the bat, with the most noticeable difference of this year, number one is going to be the shock. So hold on, I gotta show you. Okay, so we have a car with the dot. If you see the dot, and if you see, yep, right here the dot, this is the new long travel shock. So I'm going to do an experiment very simply by pressing all the way down and then doing this test, the up travel test. As you can see, there's a lot of up travel even on the chassis under the ground. So at full compression, there is still availability of up travel with the shock. With the shock tower being very low with a very, very short shock, we still have all the travel in the world with down and up. Okay, so this is a shock with the original shock, which is, you see this shock end is longer, that shock end is longer, and this shock body does not have the groove inside. That groove is only 0.5, I believe, extra of movement for the E-clip and the piston to go up and down. And the difference is right here. If you can see, it's way less of an up travel. There is still some, but it's way less. Okay? So in the testing that we did, we found that this movement, this up travel ability to do extra of the up travel and down travel have a critical effect on the traction. So this is the number one finding of this year for sure for this car to get real traction. Okay, so with the shock, it's different. Now I'm holding the number two. It's actually, believe it or not, this was the key. Apparently, it came with too stiff of a chassis. We never really thought that the chassis was big deal because normally we just measure the chassis thickness, how thick is the chassis and stuff, and that's about it, right? But with all the testing, all the experiment, with the shock being an improvement with not so good of an asphalt chassis, now we finally released this longly tested ultra soft chassis, ultra flex. So this chassis, the flex of this chassis is much more soft, closer to what mostly everybody using, but there is some special blend of epoxy resin in there to make this chassis that much more special. So this chassis was very surprisingly good, and this transformed the car on asphalt. Now, another things that I want to talk to you about is, remember, I tested the car with Solaris tires, but the whole year we race on GQ tire, which also we race on the harder compound GQ tire, which is much harder. Now that compound of GQ tire, at the first race of F-Zero, which is this race, me and Dave Vera was battling out. We were still brand new into this tire game. The Infinity car, huge traction, right? It's a 6.4 car, it's not a mid-motor car exactly. And that car generates huge traction on this very low grip surface, but also with that very hard tires. With the chassis not being updated, it is still the stock box stock chassis. I have a huge struggle with it, which I was able to still keep up. I have a good pace, but it was relatively more difficult for me to be able to do the low traction and be competitive right off the bat. So with the next race, with the Cold Spring race, I finally received the first prototype of this chassis. And with that chassis, with the amount of time we learned about the car, my car for sure is better at this race. So, with the progress of this, we also basically gave us another idea, is that, is the stock chassis good enough for anything else? Yes. We found out that this stock chassis is also very good on carpet. Of course, not the typical super high bite black carpet with so much sidewall glue on the tire, that type of traction. But for the monthly club race and monthly racing in the Beachline race, Beachline circuit, okay, very famous for the buggy, but they have monthly on-road races. This track, for the temporary track, for a type of carpet racing there, that way, where you don't really need to glue your tires so much. Oh man, this chassis is awesome. It's very good. I'm sure that this chassis also will work, this stock chassis, in high bite asphalt. For example, like TITC, this chassis might have worked perfect, because I believe, remember, TITC in the open stock class, we have a Malaysian driver doing very well also in that class with that chassis. So the stiff chassis have a good use in certain condition, when the soft chassis have another good use in certain condition. Okay, so we're going to go right back into the car and see what else. Okay, so right back at the car, the one other option that is very good is definitely this one. As you see, the Acumen adjustable right here, the Acumen, you are able to, now with this brand new insert, is not stock, but it's an optional piece, which for me, 8.5 is normally where you start off with every track. At the first race in Valkyria, I end up using 8.0, which is more mid-corner steering. So for that track, it was very good. And for most of the other track, I went back to 8.5, but it's very good to be able to change this. And I believe this is a very good idea to have, because you can change this with just one insert instead of the whole piece, right? So that is definitely a good buy. The second thing is, with the ball bearing flex, because with this chassis, the optional chassis, we can adjust the flex with even the pole with the ball bearing. I needed this a lot, especially with the GQ tire, which on the Solaris tire actually lock it down and don't use this option. So depending on the tire, depending on the traction, this was very useful. And then another thing is, it comes box stock in the car, is the T-bar. This T-bar I'm using now with this particular car because now I have the softer chassis. With the hard chassis, go to my carpet car really quick, I don't use it because this chassis is already very stiff, so I didn't need to use it. So this T-bar was a great tuning option when as soon as I use the soft chassis. I can make the rear end, the rear section stiff again and adjust the on power steering portion of the car. Is totally amazing with the T-bar. Now I can use it again. Before, on this hard chassis, I cannot use it. So another thing that I would say different from the Asphalt Car to my carpet car is the camber position. If you look at this camber position is stock. And on my carpet car, I actually use the same as the front in the back to lengthen my camber length. So I feel that with the longer camber length on carpet, the car have more corner speed. So this is another thing that I did on the carpet car and not different than my Asphalt car. Another thing that I need to talk about is for sure my McLaren ESC. This is already the V3 motor. We have been testing in order to improve the smoothness and the braking. Now we have went to the V3 version of the motor. I use a 5.5 on carpet, 4.5 on asphalt, and 5.0 at Coral Springs, like a medium-sized track. The 4.5 I use at Homestead, which is the last race I have, which is a nitro track. And as far as battery go, on the outdoor, mostly I use the 6800 McLaren. And on the indoor, I didn't go with the super shorty option because of the traction. I went to the Super LCG 5500. And that's all I needed. Okay, and then another trick that I need to tell you guys about is the spur gear. The spur gear pulley. This is a very big deal. And I'm going to show you now. I used that time, took apart my car, and I want to show you guys this. This is another improvement of what we did over the year, over the couple months. As you see, this is a sandwiched. It's not holding on by any screw. For stock, we don't see any problem, but for modify, we do. So this is how we've been fixing it, how we've been doing it to prevent any type of strip, break, whatever you can come up with. Okay, so the first thing first, I use the two same pulley. If you don't know what I mean, you see I used the one without the lip because I found that this particular pulley fit into this slot much nicer. You see, there's no really binding. So this has to do with the mold. I'm sure Xpress will fix the mold and make the mold much better in the future. This is actually a very good fitment. I'm sure yours is the same way. The one with the lip, to me, is a little too tight. And when this free peg is too tight, it will cause an eco-circular motion that would potentially cause a bigger force of gear mesh, which it will be super nice on one side, super tight on the other side. So I had decided to use this on both sides. And the other trick to use was the bearing. I used 4 bearing on this pulley, 2 small 5x8s, and then 2 5x10, one is by 3, one is by 4. So with 4 bearing all in place, is good to go. This is totally solid and really good and holding up every single stress that we put on to the spur gear. No stripping problem at all. Okay, so there's another trick that we've been doing to our car. Okay, so the next thing I need to talk about is body. So I've been just using this matrix twister, basically what everybody using body as my, I would say, go-to body. That's my normal usual body. As you can see, I mounted quite forward. You can see it right here. I mounted quite forward. And this body has been with me since day one of the car. And I also have a Darkbolix, the DBX, and very similar, little bit different characteristic. And then for the past 2 races, I have been testing this. This is the new J Concept prototype A1 body. It is actually very close to this body, very close. And with the change of the wing, I was able to get more traction, less traction, more steering, everything with just the wing change. And this body hopefully should be available soon. And very, very competitive and very close to the lap time of this. The characteristic of this one and this one is, this one for me a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more steering in the initial feeling than this body. So I personally feel maybe the opposite of what the other Twister Special E does. So definitely a good body to give it a try for the future. So okay, that's it. That concludes what I did mainly on 2020 with my XQ10. So if you have any question, you can message me. You can check out all my setup on rcexpress.com and also PTRC. They have always update all my setup sheet. So thank you for that. And yeah, I will be testing a lot more option ports in this coming year. And as you can see, there's a lot of option port I haven't used yet on the car, because actually the car is quite good. I would say that in comparison to my Express and in comparison to my old Serpent X20, the 20 car, not the 21, for sure the 21 or the Express is more steering, for sure. And then my Serpent is more stable on power, is way more traction feeling, but it have a slight push. So 2 different style of car, completely different on the extreme. And depending on your driving style, you might like one or the other. But right now, I'm driving the Express car with a lot more options to test this year. We'll see what will happen. Alright, see you guys next time.